Hello, everybody. It is day 10 and still hanging in there. So, really, not much to share today, but except just to reflect on what is happening in California with all of the fires. Um, Absolute sympathies with all of those people that have lost their homes. It is something that no one should take really lightly, and there's a lot of people who no longer have homes that have been in their homes for years. Some of them have lost their childish homes, and I think in that way we are just forced to be reminded about the frivolous comforts that we so strive after, as a society, as a people. And so my 40-day challenge comes at an absolutely apt time to be able just to reflect not only on what is happening elsewhere, but the reflection of the privilege that one has on a daily, day-to-day basis. So I shall continue to pursue my challenge. And one of the things that I cannot reiterate more is the fact that as time progresses, I mean, bodies are absolutely phenomenal. And as time goes, we acclimatize. We really, really, really acclimatize, and it almost becomes a way of being. So what is important to do in this instance is just having a look at your end goal and why it is that you are doing what you are doing. Earlier on today, I was watching a video by Dr. Mindy Pelz. I did try, because I actually got the video on a link in a fasting group that I'm part of, and she was really being raw, and she happens to be living in California also, and she is reflecting at the moment when she and the family were being evacuated in their homes, and she looked around, only had a few seconds to make a decision what it is that she takes, and she just grabbed her laptop, and she had been working on a new book on the laptop, and at least she could have had that. She wanted to keep that, and she went on to speak about a story of one of her patients who unfortunately passed away. And this patient, it is an individual that went for a regular mammogram to the doctor, and she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and was given basically 3 months to survive. And when she met Dr. Mindy Pelz, the first question that Dr. Mindy Pelz said, yes, they gave you you have the diagnosis, and what is the prognosis, and what recommendations are they making? Were you given any dietary recommendations? You said no. And this is what we are finding, even with modern medicine. It seems as though prescription drugs is all that they recommend. And at the time, she was about to complete several rounds of chemotherapy. She started engaging and speaking with Dr. Mindy Pelz. She took her out to supermarkets, taught her how to read labels, how to be more conscious of what it is that she's putting in her mouth. And this particular lady then became such an advocate of healthy living and healthy eating, and as well as just as a fasting process, fasting lifestyle, if I can say that. And she went on to live for an additional 10 years versus the prognosis of 3 months. And the cancer did come back 10 years later, obviously viciously. It had metastasized to her, to the liver, and whatever the cause, obviously, Dr. Mindy Pelz does not go into the real story thereof. I was just reminded, obviously, by the story of my own mother. And she passed on at 57. Understanding and knowing what I know now, one just has to make sure that we do not repeat, what has happened in the past. So fasting is a lifestyle, not as a type of fad. I want to lose weight, I want to have a look at that. The vanity aspect will always follow later, but at the heart of it, it's about hitting that autophagy. And autophagy, essentially, it is that process when the body begins to get rid of the not so good cells, because then there's really no glucose, not much glucose, I think, in the body where the bad cells can really feed on. So I do a 72-hour fast as a routine every single month. And so in the beginning of the years, that's when I really stretch myself for the long fast. And this is really the longest I've ever attempted to do. And obviously, by God's grace, I do hope that I'm able to see this process through. Not so much for myself and my health and my goals, but just to encourage people to say that comfort, it is not only about the luxuries. It's about, it really transcends beyond that. We tend to take it for granted we have a home. We tend to take it for granted we have a vehicle. And we become so engrossed in our comforts that when the body calls for something, it's very easy just to reach out for that slab of chocolate or whatever it is. Oh, it's just a treat. It's just a treat. And it just adds up, and it adds up. And it really adds up. So, and I think really today, I really want to encourage everyone about the obsession with comforts and convenience and everything else. If a particular task will just really entail that you just get up and take a few steps and go and do it. If you live close enough to your shopping mall and it is safe enough for you to walk, do that. And so start new habits, and it really makes a difference, towards your health. So I will continue to, just give some guidelines in terms of how really best to start this fasting lifestyle. And, I know people, for example, in our groups, it is just so difficult for some individuals just to even not put food in their mouths for 7 hours. And that really just baffles me, because when you have a look at the fasting period within the 24-hour, the bulk of the time you're sleeping anyway. You're sleeping. So if you can start off your journey by at least trying to start with a 12 hours sleeping or fasting period, and then the 12 hours eating period, and then reduce it to 10, and then reduce it to 8, and if you can also obviously take it down to 6. And so it is the eating period that we really focus on, to say that if I make a decision to say that I am not going to eat between 8 p.m. in the evenings until 8 a.m. the following day, that makes it 12 hours. So if you then make a decision, I'm not going to eat after 8 p.m. in the evening and 10, so it makes it 14. Add another 2. Then, when you start beginning to closing your eating window, whereby the first time that you eat on a daily basis is 10 o'clock. That's a considerable difference in terms of your fasting, period. And then when you do eat, have specific meal times, not small meals often. All that does really is continue to give you this spike in your blood glucose. So have a meal. If your first meal is at 12 o'clock, have a proper meal at 12 o'clock. Your second meal is at 7 o'clock in the evening, the latest. Have a meal. So, and then rest your body, Obviously, your last meal, ideally, you want to have it at least 2 to 3 hours before you do retire and go to bed. So I sincerely encourage the fasting lifestyle, but beyond that, just be more conscious in terms of what it is that you put into your mouth. The snacks, the chips, biscuits, all of those convenient things that you find, very on the aisles, very close to the tills when you're making purchases, that is not worth it. They just do more harm, I think, than anything else. So hopefully this video would have encouraged everyone listening, and putting our prayers out there for those people affected by the wildfires. in California. And until tomorrow, so another update. Not much has changed really from my weight perspective, and it's steady on, and let's see what happens tomorrow. And be blessed. And if you do like my content, I would really appreciate if you can just hit your like as well as your subscribe button. Thank you. It will really just encourage me just to continue doing this, and at some point we will begin to have a wider, broader reach, so that people can be healed in the process.